With Seedance 2.5, you can now make 30-second videos from one prompt. But if you don't know how to do it properly, you'll be burning through your credits twice as fast. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through all the new features Seedance 2.5 has and show you the strategies I personally use to get perfect results from the first tries. Now, to access Seedance 2.5, I'm going to be using Higgsfield. So if you want to follow along, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. Once you're inside, let's go to the video section and select Seedance 2.5. The interface is pretty similar to what we've seen previously, but if we press duration, you can see it goes from 4 seconds up to 30 seconds. And that makes this the first video generator ever that can generate this length. Most video generators are capped at 10 to 15 seconds, but this goes twice as long. So I'll set it to the maximum, and for the aspect ratio, I'm going to leave it on 16:9. For the resolution, right now, you can only go up to 720p. Seedance 2.0 also has 1080p and 4K, so I'm sure they'll add it here as fast as possible. And now, before I actually show you the prompt I'm going to be using, I just want you to know something right from the start. Seedance 2.5 has a different way of adding the sound compared to other generators. It's not adding it afterwards. It simply makes it at the same time as the picture and the video itself. So that means a prompt that says nothing about audio still produces audio. That's exactly why you want to control it instead of leaving it to chance and maybe ruining a 30-second video. So this brings us to our video prompt. And as you can see, I added a small section about the sound inside, just like I did with all my other prompts. Now, if you want to get all of them, I put everything inside a document that you can download completely for free, and the link's in the description. But now, let me walk you through this prompt step by step and show you the important sections inside, because the process is a bit different from what we've used with the past models. So, in the first paragraph, I gave it all the normal details, but a very important part is how it starts. That's why I made the first frame section. Then I simply went ahead and described the characters. For this example, we have the agent and then all the other people inside, which I grouped into one section called the frozen tableau. Next is one of the most important sections, and here you want to go into as much detail as possible because it's what determines how interesting your video actually is. And I'm talking about the action. Now, once you do that, there's one more section you don't want to miss. And I'm being completely honest here, I didn't know about this before, and it simply ruined some of my generations. So before you generate any video, make sure you have a section made specifically for the rules you want inside. In my case, those are the freeze rules, which basically explain the frozen concept I want in the video. And if it doesn't make sense yet, you'll understand once you see the scene. And finally, we have the normal camera section, light and color, dialogue, and like we said before, the audio. The structure may seem like a lot, but you can simply copy my prompt from the free document and put it into Claude. Then just ask Claude to modify it specifically for your videos while keeping the structure. So now let's go ahead and press generate and take a look at what we've got.
Subject 1, identity rewritten. Subject 2, altered. Subject 3, done. Moving through the gathering, all frozen. All targets reassigned, timeline clean. Extracting now.
It really nailed the frozen concept. I really like how everything is still while only the agent is moving. But what's even more impressive than people staying in the same position are the petals and the birds that also froze. So the rules section, where we explained how everything needs to work, did a really good job. And honestly, even though the resolution was set to 720p, it feels extremely realistic. So with this new model, you can easily get high quality results once you master the structure I just showed you. But even though the visuals are in place, if the audio doesn't sound right, it can totally ruin your video. So let me show you how to get the most out of it. First, I want to show you the simple method and then go into a more advanced example. So this is the prompt we're going to be using for the initial test. It's basically a robbery scene. The structure of the prompt is exactly the same as before. So I still have my first frame, my characters, and the style. But there are two sections in here doing most of the work when it comes to the sound, and those are the ones I want to show you. The first one is the dialogue section. Every line the characters say is already written inside the shot where it happens, but I still put all of them again at the bottom in one block, in the exact order they're spoken. And there's actually a good reason for that. The shot tells the model when a line happens, and the dialogue block tells it exactly what is said and how it should sound. So in mine, I wrote English, short, and shouted, and then the 3 lines one after another. This is also where you name the language and the accent, if you want to. Then we have the sound section, where I told it exactly when each sound comes in and when it goes out. And I did that for the car engine and the police siren. So let's generate and take a look.
Go, 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 go! Come on, get in!
Honestly, the scene is super intense, but the audio is the main focus here. The dialogue sounds perfect, and you can hear the wheels of the car rolling and then the police siren going on. But what actually stands out is that as the car moves away, the sound of the engine fades away with it. And that was a big problem with the older models. Now that was the simple test, but let me show you the advanced one. Because in this next example, I'm going to use it to create a full song. The video is basically going to be a live concert. Again, I split the audio part into 2 separate sections. One is the music and lyrics, where I describe the track itself. So I'm going with really specific details like 128 beats per minute, the kick, the bass, and everything else. The other one is the sound character, which is everything around the music, so the reverb, the crowd, and the guy singing close to the microphone. And what's even more interesting is that all the lyrics are in Korean. I didn't write them in English and then ask it to translate them, because if you do that, you get an accent doing an impression of Korean. If you write them in the language you want, most of the time, you also get the correct accent. So let's check out the result.
끝까지 그달려 소리쳐 그달려 소리쳐 크게 하나 둘 셋 모두 손을 들어 더 뜨겁힌 밤을 뜨겁게 밤을 흔들어
For a second, I actually forgot I was watching an AI video. It completely made me feel like I was in a concert, especially when it zoomed in on that guy's face. And the sound is extremely accurate. This is exactly the vibe you'd get at a concert. The song sounds like one of those K-pop ones, and I don't really know Korean, but I can tell you this sounds extremely good. So as long as you split your audio into these sections, you can get results like these on the first try, even for 30-second scenes. But there's one more reason why people are using Seedance 2.5 so much right now, and that's the video editing. It's basically the best tool out there for editing videos, but I don't want to show you the simple stuff where you just change a color or swap a product. I want to show you how to take this to the highest level without wasting your credits figuring it out. So for this, I'm going to show you how to edit an entire video with one prompt only. And to showcase this as best as possible, I'm going to be using this scene I made previously, and I'm going to turn this into a horror movie scene. The first thing I'll upload is this video as a reference, and the prompt for this one starts quite differently from all the other ones. The first line isn't a scene, it's actually an instruction. So I wrote, transform the footage into a first-person horror scene while keeping the camera and the gestures exactly as I filmed them. Then I replaced the environment, so the clean stairwell becomes a horror underground passage. Then I replaced the objects, and this is the part where you want to be as specific as possible. For example, with the flashlight, I even mentioned I want to keep the small green light on it, and then I ask it to turn the remote in my hand into a pistol. But the cool thing is that when I click on the remote from my initial video, the pistol shoots. Then I add the figures and the audio block, exactly like I've shown you in the previous sections. So now let's update the settings and generate it. It came out looking really good, and I must say Seedance 2.5 is actually insane at editing videos. It's honestly one of the most interesting things I've seen, because it kept all my gestures while changing the entire environment into a horror scene. And it all took just one prompt. But if we want to create an entire horror movie using this, we might want to use some characters in different locations that need to stay consistent across the entire workflow. And to solve that, there's actually a way that's simpler than everything I've shown you today, and I'm talking about references. There's also a major update that Seedance 2.5 got here. But before I tell you what it is and why it's so important, let's actually go and create the location and our characters. But because I'm inside Higgsfield, I don't need to swap to another platform to make images. I can simply access everything in the image section. So let's go there and select GPT Image 2 as the model. Then for the settings, I'll set the quality to high and the resolution to 4K. And I'm making 3 things here. The first one is the location, so a flat desert with rocks and cacti in it. So let's paste this prompt. And then I'll replace the prompt with this one, which will create the main character. Next, I'll paste in the prompt for the giant robot. Now let's go back into video with Seedance 2.5 still selected and upload all of them as references. As you can see, we only have 3 right now, but when you make bigger projects, the number of references grows exponentially. And with Seedance 2.0, you were very limited because you only had up to 9 images and 3 videos in total. Now you can upload up to 50, so Seedance 2.5 lets you use 30 images, 10 videos, and 10 audio files in the same generation, which helps with consistency a lot. So now let's go ahead and generate our video to see how well it works. As you can see, it used the same exact characters and location we gave it as a reference without any slight modification. Plus, the video itself looks really cool. I honestly like all the fast motions and transitions it created. There is one slight issue though. For a split second, it duplicates the character, but that's an easy fix with a small edit. So if you want to use this new feature of Seedance 2.5, as well as everything else you've learned in this video, go sign up to Higgsfield using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.